everyone here. So we are live on the net now. That's done. Now we just have to start one more thing, which is called recording. So we'll just start the recording. Okay. So we are all set, and I will right away start the session. So hello everybody, everyone who has joined. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, from wherever whichever part of the world you are joining. So this is your host Anjani Kumar, and the guest Dheeraj Singh today. He is a modern data lake solution architect with Newark Technology partner, and he is information technology director there, and he has handled, name it, and hundred of clients. He's ex Oracle, and he has worked with multiple top-notch company in the data warehouse world, and he is one of the premium and well-known evangelists in multi-cloud for you, connecting with hundreds of people in the data warehouse world around North America, Europe, and even in the Asia also. So I have with me, supported by Gavaskar S, who is the director and delivery partner at multi-cloud for you, and along with me I have other team members who are supporting me in the background on the another channel. So welcome everybody, and let's start with the session right away. So I will just try to introduce as usual about the platform and the tool, and then I will quickly hand over the mic to Dheeraj for further ado. So if you know about fifthir, if you don't know, it's like the motto and memento was more around that. How do we ready ourselves for fifth industrial revolution? The biggest problem for technologists these days are, or even in the past, is like they are busy all the time. They don't have time for family. They don't have even not good time for it's work. And if they want to improve themselves, they don't have time to do certification for giving a lot of time for them or for their studies. So we thought about a year back thought about a concept where technologists can come talk around a topic where they are expert and they know a lot about it, so that you get the crux in a very short amount of time. You don't have to go here and there, and even in the future when you come back, you can hear the recording as it is. You can take the certificate already given by the technologist and the expert who is already there, and that's how you network with each other, connect with each other, and further get your self-help in terms of your either job requirement, career move, or whatever it is. So we are here as a community to support you from all the perspective. Now multi-cloud for you or fifthir is almost serving people across 80 countries, and this is the areas we serve mostly, but we have already put our footprint in all part of the world. As a community, we give you learner certificate and exam, help upgrades through short session that I said, session voluntarily curated by engineers. Everyone is an engineer who curate the session. We have very less direct trainer who are engaged with us. They are mostly for universities and colleges, but for more professional, we just have professional from Fortune 500 or top companies. Most of the senior people from top companies, hub for educator, learner, job seeker, and people looking for experts, paid or volunteer, we don't matter. Community evangelist certificate and training partnership with cloud company. Whenever we do some community evangelist work, we give you MVP, and there are different type of certificate and different type of rewards and award that we give. And Gavaskar can make you understand whenever you can parallelly try connecting with him anytime on any of the channel. This is where is your event platform is, event page. You simply put your name, phone, and email number, and done. You don't have to do much, a lot, and it's one time task, and then it's always like works like a YouTube. The streaming would be parallelly happening here on this platform also, and you can download your calendar, save it to your calendar whenever some new event come. There's a single link /event where every event is there, and you can download your certificate or claim your certificate for this session from this link only from the platform page. This is a session today. You can chat with us here directly if you are on stream. There is a chat option on Facebook. There is someone who is listening to. I have with me, as I said, Abhishek, Gaurav, Dhruv Gupta, Paranjay, Soumya, and then Dheeraj Singh, as I talked about. He also does voluntary evangelism with us. Jai Garg is from Singapore. Abhishek Mishra, Azure. This is more Azure expert. Deepak Singh, DevOps. Priyash Pratt in the more in the data world. Nilosima Srivastava, DevOps. Sarvak Singh from network team. Suresh Kandula, he's one of our mentor and guide. Anna Hoffman has also mentored a lot of people here, and she voluntarily, whenever she gets some time from her busy schedule, she joins here for a session voluntarily. Arshad Ali, he's one of the big data and synapse from Microsoft, who whenever whenever you get some time from busy schedule, you help us out. Along with that, we have around more than 10,000 plus. Now it's almost 13, 14,000 plus of supporter across the globe. Why we say supporter? Because those who ever join the community, our focus is to, if you are learning something, you are giving back something, and that's how we move on. These are all the people, glimpse of people, starting with Bill Inman, Jeff Barr, and everyone here almost, Suresh Kandula, Anna Hoffman, like whosoever has joined as a guest and give us some time in the future. So back to Dheeraj Singh, he's a information technology director, he's a solution architect, and he's with Newark Technology Partner. This is LinkedIn. You can connect with him anytime. He's a business intelligence, ETL process, Microsoft Power BI, super expert on that, data lake and Azure Power BI solution. Uh, this is a certificate that we'll be getting after this session when you claim your certificate through our platform. And over to Dheeraj.
All right. Thank you so much, Anjani, for nice words. And gentlemen, thank you all. Welcome all. Thank you so much for coming on weekend and giving us time to have a discussion on that. Rather than presenting something, I would rather focus on making it more interactive to see that more interactive conversation. I would rather prefer to do. Today, my focus is to talk through the introduction about what exactly Delta Lake is, and a little background of Delta Lake, how it came over into the market, and what was the actual thing we were missing, and because we could most of the things we could provide in Data Lake. So why Delta Lake? Then I'll touch base on a little on the Parquet file format thing. Then I'll talk about Databricks, of course. Then with the Delta Lake on Databricks topic, I'll be talking about zoning. I'll touch base on zoning, what zoning is. Then mounting, what is the first most important thing before we actually start working on the Delta tables? That is mounting. Then converting Parquet format to Delta, then how to create tables using any of the query. I took its SQL and Python. Sorry.
No,
Right.
you're okay. You go ahead.
And then I'll have merge. I'll show you how easily you can write a merge statement on the Delta tables in Databricks platform. The reading table, how easy is to read the table using any of the we call that using rather SQL, or you can use the display option for that. So I'll be talking about that. One of the best thing is generating the data sets to the database directly from Databricks. I'll just touch base a little on that, and then you can ask me any question anytime. You can put a question on chat. I'll try if I can in between, but at the end we'll have a discussion on question and answer. I'll try to be I'll try to be like, this session should not be beyond 40-45 minutes, but let's see how it goes on. So let's start with the introduction for the Delta Lake. That is, so yeah, Delta Lake. So we let me before actually going in there, let me just talk through how this Delta Lake thing came in. It's, of course, it's an open source thing. In Before actually, probably in early 2000 time, when the between I think mid of a 2000, when the Data Lake came into the picture, people started big data platform basically was the main thing where the Data Lake got introduced. So when people started doing all the activity, when people started capturing data, structured, unstructured, and then they started making it basically doing all the transformation, like joining things, merging things, getting it over. So because it's a NoSQL kind of a data warehouse, this is what they started calling themselves. They, as in the data lake I'm talking about. So that is, they started facing we started facing a lot of issues for the ACID transactions. ACID is nothing but all the, on a high level, on a normal English term, you can call it all the DML activity which we perform on database, like insert, update, delete, merging, all those things. All the activity cannot be performed on data lake when you're storing data in Parquet format, because that's the best format. It shrinks up the entire data sets and it stores data in a columnar, which we will talk in a next slide, when we will touch base on Parquet format, why we use that. So that's then the Delta Lake got introduced, where it actually uses the same underneath the same structure and the architecture. It uses the data lake. It doesn't have its own storage capacity. It just sits on top of the data lake, where you read and access and convert those using any of the platform, be it Databricks or any of the other platforms. So it uses the Databricks platform, pull the data in a Parquet format, and then you just convert that thing and then start doing all the DML activity within the data lake itself. So when it got introduced, this feature, this tool, I personally love this, because you can, if you're in, let's say, if you're a Java expert, you can write the whole code in Java. If you're a SQL expert, you can write the SQL code, plain SQL code, in Databricks using the Delta table. So that's phenomenal feature, which I always found it in this. Okay, let's move to the next slide. This is the Parquet format. It, as I said, it basically, shrinks up the entire data set and put it in the columnar database. It just combines all of the columns and everything, and all the rows and everything, and combines and shrinks up and put it in the columnar database side. So the main concept behind this is, it stores like in a block size, row group and page. So this is basically the best approach I always pick over any of the other flat file formats. So moving to the next one. This is the high level architecture what Databricks has. I picked up the Azure platform for this. So if, as you said, that Databricks data science and engineering, we call it, sometimes we call that Workspace, because the entire thing is basically integrated within the Workspace itself, is the analytic platform based on the Apache Spark. So uh, the question should arise, how Delta Lake works in there, because the Apache Spark supports the Delta Lake. That's why we are able to write everything within the Databricks itself. So in here, if you see this, the analytics platform based on the Apache Spark. So it is integrated with Azure to provide one-click setup. So that's the easiest way you can just set up the Databricks based on the interactive workspace. What you set up, it can be scalable to a number of different, what do you call that? The cluster. So you can have multiple different clusters. So trust me, my personal feeling, 70 million rows can be processed within a second like this, when you have a proper setup and structure defined for that Databricks. So again, that depends on what kind of an architecture. So I just have two node cluster for the Databricks workspace, and it works phenomenal for me. Like reading data or writing data or merging data. These all are like, I'm talking about millions and millions of rows. My personal experience is like over 70 million rows merge works like phenomenal. Within few seconds, it's complete. So let's go to the next one. As I said, zoning. This is let's talk a little on zone thing. So don't get confused with the term zone. If any of you are familiar with the the old style data warehouse process, we used to have the dumping area. We used to have a staging area. We used to have the target in there. So it's the same thing, but we call this. This was introduced by IBM, and they started dividing these three different things in a zone. This resides within the data lake itself, and you define the branch basically. Normally in my any of the project what I design, so I try to keep in branch two of the different folders. One is landing, one is raw. So when it lands, it basically resides in branch, and you are having all the files in a Parquet format. And then within the landing versus raw, what I do, I change from landing. Landing would have all the raw data sets in there, in raw or whatever you want to call it, staging, raw, whatever underneath branch zone. I convert that thing, that Parquet format to Delta Lake format, and then in Silver, I perform all the activity like joining, like merging, like deleting, inserting, all the data profiling, all the transformation. I try and do that within Silver zone, and Gold basically is nothing but your actual target. You be it, let's say tomorrow you decide to move to let's say Snowflake, or you decide to move to what do you call that, Azure Synapse or Redshift, anything, whatever, tomorrow anything is changing in here. See, this is the beauty of it. So the gold zone will be a replica of your final target set. So it is, let's say, if we are defining a typical data warehouse like a denormalized data sets, where you define the dimension modeling, you have multiple different dimensions and a fact table, all the attributes and everything is sitting in the dimension, and all the measures are sitting in the fact table. You would have those different tables defined in gold zone. Tomorrow your company is changing to anything, trust me, this wouldn't be a 2-year project. It'll be like a couple of weeks project to just point from gold to any of the database. So that is the beauty why I always try to make or design, whenever I'm defining an architecture, it should be, independent enough to plug in anything which you're looking at too. So let's say tomorrow, if I plan to go on any other ETL tool, I just have to plug this thing in. So that is the beauty of having all the different zones defined. So it's nothing. It is the same thing what we used to have, which is the landing area, staging, and target. Now let's talk about the Delta Lake with Bricks. So as I mentioned, the first thing is mounting your data lake. Now, when you mount, it can be either S3, it can be blob, it can be container, anything. So you just have to mount that. To mount that, you have to define all your service principal ID and everything. And this exercise, we just do it for once, so that the Databricks understands this is your mount point, and underneath any of this folder, this container, let's say you have 10 different subfolders defined in there, you can just directly go because you've already mounted that thing in there. So in here, we just define the mount location. We define all of the your service principal IDs, service principal keys, directory IDs, and all those details you define in there. And then after that, you start pulling data, converting into the data file or whatever we're looking at to do the activity. This is the first step you perform on Databricks. Now, converting into the Parquet, converting into the Delta. So this is the most important thing. So all we are doing, it's a typical Python thing. You are saying you're, reading the data sets. You're putting all the data sets into any of the variables. So these are all different variables. You're calling those variables, storing another variable into another variable, and then finally you are converting. So you have an option of converting through the override or append. So let's say if you have, so normally what happens when you have a large data sets on source, so when you try to load into a Parquet format, it breaks down and it breaks up into a small file, so that it is easy to read, it is easy to handle, because it's all a columnar based data set. So automatically system generates multiple files out there. So it can help you when you're appending it. It'll combine everything. When you're appending and converting it into a Delta format, it automatically combines and gives you in either one file, or probably sometimes if you have, as I mentioned, 20 million rows, it was creating multiple different files for me. So you just have to, so once you convert it, still there are chances in Delta format also it will generate multiple different files, but eventually you can write another merge statement to merge these two things together in there. So these are different options we can opt. So instead of override, you can always do that append on top of it, and you can store, as I said, bronze or Within the bronze, you can have raw, landing, or staging, whatever you want to call it. So I just kept it bronze and I moved forward. So sorry for this grayed out thing, because these are the best example. I decided where I'm working. This is my one of my clients' things, so I just had to. So pardon me for that. Now, the next point was creating table. As I mentioned, it is a very simple way. If you're expert, and as I said, if you're expert in SQL, do not have to do anything. Just write that percentage SQL create table command. But you should always, instead of table, that target table you're putting, you have to define the mount point. You have to define the actual location where you are looking at to create this delta table, and then your silver. So silver, as I said, silver zone will always have the consolidated transform data sets, where you are actually creating a final data sets in the gold layer, where you can define be it dimension, be it fact table, be it anything, or the bridge or anything. So that's the very simple and typical create statement which you can write in Delta Databricks. Now merge. There are multiple different types of merge depending on what exactly you're doing. You're just writing a single update. You're just trying to update one column. You're trying to update the entire table. You're trying to write exist not existing. There are multiple ways of writing this different codes in there. So I just tried putting together something for you guys to make it a little easier. So whatever language, as I said, if you are an expert in SQL, you can simply write an update statement. But normally, one of the drawback which I found was when you are trying to update in a single statement, multiple different columns are getting updated. The normal update doesn't work. So then you have to use the merge. So depending on what exactly you're trying to do. So the merge statement, or probably the Python code which you see in bottom, can also do the multiple different merge statement. I think I've noted down for uh, I thought, yeah. So this is different things. The only reason why I'm showing, because if tomorrow you have multiple different update statement you have to write within one table or within multiple different tables, you cannot write a normal update statement. You have to use either merge, or you have to use the Python code which we have written in down. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, reading table, again, it is simple. You can use the normal select. So let's say if you're reading, if you're trying to read this table, you just have to say that select asterisk from delta dot the entire location along with the table name. So whenever you try to create a Delta Lake tables, a Delta Lake format table, so it actually creates the same way. When if any of you is a database expert, when you try and create a relational database, what it does, it creates the database and it creates a log. So the exactly same way, whenever you're trying to create any Delta Lake table, it it actually creates the folder, which is nothing but a database and a log along with it. So any activity which you do along with that Delta Lake tables, it captures and it stores into log for all of the activity which you are performing. Isn't it so exciting? And we're talking about a simple plain unstructured thing. So you can a number of time you can delete, you can remove, you can backup, you can archive, you can do anything in like a normal file system managing process. So this is one of the beautiful thing which I like. So again, as I said, you can read data the way you want. You can simply write select asterisk from delta dot the entire the mount point location entire thing along with the table name. And you can also use the variables, which is, let's say, if you're writing anything, like for instance, if I have written anything in the variables, if you remember, let me quickly go back in here. Let's say if I'm putting dim employee underscore df, that's nothing but the variable. I can call that. Or if I am reading data, so the landing file path episode can be my variable, and I can just simply write display in the bracket that variable. It shows me the entire data list in there. So there are multiple ways of reading data within the Databricks itself. You don't need any other third-party tool to view data or even edit data or do anything. Let's move to the next one. So generating, this is very interesting thing. So let's give some time. So I've had a lot of issues. So for one of the clients, I was to implement Snowflake. And the main reason why we were trying to implement Snowflake was to move to make so they have Einstein, and Einstein is a BI tool which is integrated with Salesforce. So they were trying to integrate the Salesforce and Einstein to do a complete real-time reporting solution. So see, it's a integrated tool, so normally it should work. But the issue was still it is having issues. It cannot refresh data uh, below 20 minutes. So in every 20 minutes, it was refreshing. That was basically a main challenge for users because Salesforce, all the sales activity, real time, the field guys are looking at to see data, which is happening actually real time. So that was a big challenge for us. So then I proposed to the client, I proposed Snowflake option because Snowflake has recently um, launched a adapter which can directly read data from Einstein, push data, pull data, and it can also push and pull data to Snowflake to the Salesforce. So we cannot do that Salesforce because Salesforce is an application where sales guys are sitting and updating things, and those things are continuously happening. So we decided to push and pull data through Einstein. So now the main challenge was doing all the transformation. Then it because Snowflake is charging based on the activity which is happening every single second. So when we were running the transformation, we realized that the cost is going really high. Although we already own the entire Azure stack, the cost was going really high on that. And but we already have the Azure stack. Why don't we push the entire transformation on there and try to push everything using Databricks? This is where I started implementing the Delta Lake, and I started converting all the Parquet file directly. So I pull every second, the data is getting pulled from the Salesforce. It goes into a data lake. I convert it into Delta Lake, and then I process all the transformation, all merge and everything. I'm doing it, and then pushing it to the sales Snowflake directly. So if you can see in here, I can push directly data from Azure Databricks to anything. So it could be my Synapse, it could be Snowflake, it could be anything I can push using the Databricks, which is very interesting thing. All we got to do is to define all these different parameters, and that's it. Boom! You just have to write that table within the data warehouse of whatever you have defined as the table. Let's say table dim whatever dimension is there. If you want to append, you can append. If you want to overwrite, you can overwrite. So all the options we have in there once you set up the database as your target after the process completes within the all the three different zones. So as I said, I have already processed and kept all the dimensions in fact table in my gold layer. Now I have to push the same structure, same everything from gold layer to the Snowflake or to Synapse or to Redshift, wherever you want. You can directly do that. And this is the basic command to set it up and then move forward on that. So this is kind of I tried putting something on a high level, the modernization of a data flow in there, where you basically the entire thing is nothing but the big data analysis. So you have Delta Lake sitting on the data lake, then you have a Databricks where you're processing all the delta files. You're pushing and your push and pull is happening through either Databricks or it can be through Snowflake, because Snowflake is basically reading data from Einstein and then pulling it, then again pushing it back after the Databricks. So think about this. The entire 20 minutes thing now is happening in 2 seconds. So it used to happen in 20 minutes. the all data transformation, everything. Now currently I'm pushing data within every 2 seconds, pulling data. So the whole thing happens within 10 seconds. So in every 10 seconds, the Einstein dashboard gets refreshed and it pushes back data. Then again, pull and push and pull is happening within 10 seconds now, wherein it was happening in for 20 minutes. It's a very, very powerful tool. Again, depends on how the clustering has been happened. If you are dealing with multiple huge data sets with one cluster, it may not work the way it is. So it depends how you're setting up your entire environment. That's really important. Okay, this is how the Azure Databricks looks like. Again, I've grayed out few things because it wasn't handy online. So I thought of just taking a print screen from one of my client and showing it to you. So this is how the Databricks looks. In here on left panel, if you see, the whole list is there. Workspace, your compute, your everything is there. Your how many users are logged in, how many users are attached to it, how many cluster has been attached to it, how many nodes you have. So everything has been defined on your left hand panel, where you see all those plus sign is nothing but the workspace and the interactive clusters and so on. That's it. It was quick, interesting.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting, I would say. We are also, I would just like to inform you that as our team is also building S3 SQL, which will perform as similar to as for the unstructured data as it is now. And it will be
Yeah,
like you can apply SQL query on any S3 platform on a bucket and everything, and it's
yeah,
not
that's
just
really
Amazon S3,
interesting.
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So Anjani, that's really interesting thing. So I would like to discuss more as a platform like this, something like more of a discussion platform on that. If you don't mind, we can
yeah.
because that's one of the thing is really important because that is eye opener thing which you were talking, which I think I had a discussion with you on that.
So any question, guys? I can put you on the like.
Yeah, let's see.
I can
Let's
unmute
see
you.
if I have a chat
Yeah.
where.
So any specific question you would like to have, just put into the chat window, and I'll open up the mic for you. Okay. So I think this topic is a little new, so maybe people would look like to would prefer to wait and watch and then ask question. So in the meanwhile, I can go ahead and I can give you the speaker code that you can use to claim your certificate. I will also show you how. So this is the speaker code for these events. Write it down, KOWTH9. And how do you claim your certificate? I will just show you. If you note it down, KOWTH9 is displaying on your machine. And if you have to go and try to claim it, it's simple. So go to, hopefully you are able to see my screen or not.
No, we're
Just
not.
okay. So let me share my screen again, and I will pass the speaker code again to you guys. So you are able to see my screen, right? And
Yeah.
so this is the speaker code. Note it down, KOWTH9, all in caps. And how do you actually get the certificate, right? So it's simple. You go to fifthir.com, search here for Delta Lake all together. Delta Lakes, and obviously you would have got email and there are multiple links here already. But Delta Lake, if you're coming from your links from Eventbrite or anywhere, you would have that link. But the easiest way is simply search Delta Lakes. Okay, so Andrew is asking Dhiras, you can talk with him on few starter course around that.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew, there are multiple different online. So I was not any specific I know, but there is one
You can
group
use
I
this link
think
also,
if you are looking at
Delta
the
Lake.
standard ones. Sorry.
No, I'm pinging the link to the people, or if they have to search, they have to search Delta Lake.
Right. So there are multiple different trainings online you can find, but if you are looking at for any specific thing, I think Cloud Guru is one of them who provides the Databricks and Delta Lake both. But they are all paid. But you can find a lot of different free courses even on YouTube. You just have to look for Delta Lake, and you will find a lot of different sections on that. Yep, if you have it, then you're good. You should have both.
Yeah, and you just have to go on this. I will type in my detail, and we'll come back.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. I personally, being into data for almost 20 years, 19 plus years, this was like an eye opener for me when you're dealing
So
with
once you put in
millions
your
and
detail,
millions of rows in there.
you come here, and sorry Dheeraj, I'm also in parallel trying to show. So there. And here you see one free certificate. And you claim. Just have to go on this. I will type in my detail, and we'll come back. And then put your code.
Yeah,
here,
this
put
is
your name.
phenomenal. I personally, being into data for almost 20 years, 19 plus years.
Okay, and that's how we will get your certificate. If you find any difficulty, you can ping us, and code we can also share you again. Yeah, Dheeraj, you can continue. I think I'm done with my.
Yeah, can you ping the code on the chat?
Yeah, I'm pinging. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I was just about to say that this was kind of an eye opener for us, for me especially. I mean, even if you're being a Python coder or developer, of course, it's a very additional thing. Even if you're not, you don't have to worry about it. You don't think that, oh my God, I have to learn another coding. No, that's not required. All you have to do is a little syntaxes needs to be brought in, and you should be aware of when you Google it, you'll, I mean, if it's just pretty simple, man, and it's very, very powerful, very powerful. See, earlier, if you remember, we used to write a code, PL SQL, and all those ETL different codes we used to write, and if the ETL was taking time, oh my God, let's go back and tune our queries, tune our ETL activity, and all those things. Put a lookup and break down those. I still remember doing such things. Not anymore. I mean, you just add a new cluster, that's it. And whatever the code you've written, just run it in the same place. That's the beauty of the entire thing is.
Any other question, guys, before we drop off? Or anything related to certificate that you are confused or you want to let me show you again? Okay, so thank you, Dheeraj. And this is really a very short and sweet session, and at the crux of the Delta Lake that we have learned today.
Yeah.
And thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Thanks for attending this. Soon I'll come again on a different topic, probably Snowflake, more on Snowflake.
Yeah.
Me and Ravi probably.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. And Anjani, I would really love to see that the S3 you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of issues writing codes on that.
Yeah.
If we can have a session on that, would be really awesome.
Yeah, we are due to release it once it goes
Like a
into
discussion.
beta. Yeah.
Like a discussion.
Yeah. We can do it.
Oh, thanks. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a nice weekend, and thanks for joining. It's like obviously in a off hour.